if you are being excluded from a job because of your orientation, that is 100% wrong, and I agree.
I need to correct a certain injustice. Another bunch of people have become insecure, and so now whatever they want, we want to, because they're getting special preference, so why shouldn't we?
It's not that a person is differently abled, we need to hire forcefully. No, we do it on merit, whether it is gender, whether it is differently abled, it's on purely on merit basis.
At no point have I ever thought you were the traditional HR executive. Welcome to another episode of the Pineapple Podcast. How many of you all are going to switch off this particular episode when you hear the word diversity and inclusion? I would have probably joined you. We've all heard of diversity hires, how diversity is forced on you. Let's be inclusive. What does that even mean? Ladies and gentlemen, in today's episode, we are joined by a woman who understands this, understands the impact it does, and can share with you genuine working initiatives which have helped an organization and improved diversity. Diversity and inclusion may sound like topics which are forced, redundant, and people-pleasing. When implemented correctly, these are initiatives which can make your organization have that one word which everyone loves: culture. Stay tuned to find out more, and there's a small surprise about who this woman is at the end of the podcast. Follow, watch to hear more. Welcome to another episode of the Pineapple Podcast. Today I'm mildly amused. I'll tell you why. I am one of those many people who have gone on LinkedIn, gone on Instagram, posted a joke about a certain community, laughed, and shared that joke with everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our guest today, Director of Culture Sustainability at NTT, an HR professional. I am so sorry. I am responsible for a lot of those jokes you see on LinkedIn related to HR. But honestly, tell me, how true are those jokes? And have you ever laughed at those jokes?
So Krishna, I know you started with that, and you mentioned to me that in terms of I have done so much of jokes around HR, and I want you to come in the podcast and talk about this. Yes. So
Have you laughed or not at an HR joke?
sometimes, but the percentage is very low. Rarely.
He made a joke just today. Tell her, I dare you.
What was the joke I made? Please refresh my mind.
So, Chitra, you have been in HR for what now? 15 years-ish? 15?
So I have total 23 years of
23.
experience. Yeah.
She is not 52 years old, in case any of you are thinking. What age did you start working in HR?
So I completed my graduation in 2002, and I immediately started
Straight
working.
away in HR.
So my the qualification is done. What I've done is along with my employment.
As far as I've known you, you've been in one organization. But I think you were at Abbott before that, and you were
Yes.
at one more org before that.
No. I have worked with a lot of companies before where I'm
But the
currently
most,
working.
wherever you are right now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
HR as a career opportunity. Why do you think people should pursue HR as a career opportunity?
See, when I started my career, I was not exactly directly into HR. I come from IT background. So I
Okay.
was into IT networking, managed services.
You're an engineer?
No, I'm not an engineer, and that's why I switched over here. And I was doing my master's in management, and there I got interest in with respect to human resources as a subject, and in terms of interacting people. I like to interact with people, and that's how. And I scored very well in human resources and management when I was doing my master's, and that got interested and excited me to do something further in human resource management. And I was still into a technical field, handling a batch of site engineers and technical team, and I was a part of recruitment committee because I had started my PGD HRM, which is a postgraduate diploma in human resource management.
You were handling a site.
Yes.
What does that mean? What were you doing?
So I was in a managed services, handling technical engineers, troubleshooting first level calls and allocating those calls to the engineers.
Did you know how to solve those problems?
Yes, I have done that.
How?
Because being with the set of engineers, first level calls are very generic, right? So during those times, I used to format the entire computers also. I had learned by then.
Now don't you feel so mean to all those jokes you've been cracking at other people's extent? Go on, eat your words.
See, there's a reason that she is the one I have invited, and you will all find out why in a few
Eat
minutes.
your words. Go on. No more.
See, it's impressive, and that probably helped you a lot in managing. How many people you said? 70.
Said engineers.
Huh?
Engineers in a site, we had around 10 to 15 engineers, and we used to report to a site manager.
But you were a woman handling 15 men.
Yes.
How did you get that position to start with?
So I entered into a customer service, and from there, this was a service desk. So service desk, being a service desk, we had like men and women both. And yes, in terms of primarily, it's a men world, right? Engineers, all like L1, L2, L3, we had engineers, all men. In my team, yes, all were men. We used to, like, my responsibility was to be in the service desk, take the calls, do a first level troubleshooting, understand, and then I know the engineer profiles, and then allocate those calls to the engineer, whether it is L1 call, L2 call, or a L3 call.
Did you ever feel like you were a woman working with men, or were you just like, yeah, kaam hai, main kaam kar rahi hu?
Yes, it was work, professional.
Right?
Yeah, never. I never
So,
felt it.
me and Mario always discuss this, and I feel like that's one issue that's at the core of this gender issue. Do you think sometimes we overcomplicate things by saying, "Arey, can a woman is, let's hire a woman to do this. Let's too many men here. Let's specifically look for a woman, or let's just look for candidates and let's promote it, and we don't have to worry if it's a man or a woman. If they can do the job, they can do it." Which side of that debate do you think is correct?
So earlier it was, yes, if it's like a 24/7 shift of somewhere, definitely men are preferred.
Because
right?
night time and
Yeah,
stuff,
because
yep.
of the night timings and other, to follow the other compliances, rules and regulations, men are definitely in terms of given the preference. But nowadays I don't see that, because in my current role also I am one of the, in terms of promoting this, where we are hiring women in a technical field as well, whether it is 24/7, because we have done the policies accordingly, which is accustomed to where we can hire a woman, and then accordingly.
Let's go into this, because one of the things we always debate, we are stuck debating this because we're not able to find middle ground. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? In our head, if you are, so this is where I come from. I don't think you should ever force diversity.
Yeah.
But I always get stuck on the fact that, there are some communities where if you don't give them a small window to get through, they're always going to be stuck at the back of the line. They've been stuck in the back of the line. They are as capable, but they can't wait to get to the front of the line because it's too late. They pick another career instead.
Yeah.
What if we give them that window? But the right balance between that is something I don't know which one works. For me, if I'm a manager hiring, I look at candidates, I look at merit, I say, okay, done, hire. Should I specifically start looking, okay, candidates hired, merit, okay, but this one's a woman, let me hire her instead?
Okay. In my opinion, it is like, it should not be like it's a she's a woman and we should hire it. It has to be always like equality, right? We call for equality. It is not that I'm a woman and the job has to be offered. It has to be on merit. It is not because it's a woman we need to hire. Both genders have to be given equal opportunities.
Then how do we get diversity?
So what happens is, in terms of any particular profile, the organization has those bias, like in terms of
Hiring manager bias.
Yeah, hiring managers, even the recruiters I've seen, even recruiters or hiring managers has those bias, like this profile a lady can't do, this profile demands 24/7 shift. This is like, I don't want to name any specific location. This location is not safe for women. So in this location, manager will not shortlist.
That's justified, right?
Yeah,
In
manager.
a way, isn't that justified?
Yes, but what we mention is that let that call be taken by a
By the-
woman, and
you don't
you
take
don't
the
decide her career. You don't decide. There will be a circumstances. There will be some in terms of other dependencies and other things. Let that call be taken by a woman, and let women say no, rather than you rejecting the profile saying, oh, she's a woman, let's not consider it ahead.
So one more offshoot of this, and you hear the word a lot these days. Oh, that person is a diversity hire. Diversity hire. Yeah, things are not working out. Oh, and it will happen across genders also. Oh, diversity hire. That person was disabled. Diversity hire. This person was doing very high place. Right. So now you have this new phrase come into the corporate lingo, diversity hire. So something which was meant to address historical injustice Now it's become a laughing point for many. Yeah, that they're going to get diverse. Yeah. And so some people kind of tend to accept it and move on. And so the pressure is upon the person to prove that he or she or whatever disability they have has to prove themselves even more because all the eyes are watching them. What is your take on this?
That's true. See, any woman or a disabled person will not like that I am disabled or I'm a woman and that's why my hiring is done. It has to be on merit. But when it comes to particular profiles, what organization and hiring managers also does it that if it's a woman or a disabled, people look for 100% match. But in that case, if it's a man, even if a person is like 50, 60, 70% match, the person gets shortlisted. So there is a lot of biasness which is there in the system.
Have you interacted with anyone who's disabled or who's been hired because in my entire experience in the first company I worked in, this was the .com boom of 2000s. There was someone on the wheelchair.
Yeah, Mario is old, just so you know.
There was someone on the wheelchair, and he was a stellar performer in his team. And I found it so awkward, back then when there was no word of diversity being spoken about, right? And he used to have somebody carry him up and put him on a wheelchair. And at the
No
time,
accessibility for wheelchair.
yeah, no accessibility at that time, right? So he used to speak his mind in meetings. He'll take people on, and then he never gave a damn about what people said about him. So that was the one outside chance I saw. After that, I've never seen people who are disabled be given as much preference as and I was speaking what I was there are a lot of other communities, the LGBT community, so much talk about them, and a lot of other communities. Disabled, I know we have to ensure that wheelchair is the office wheelchair accessible, etc. But apart from these small nuances, I don't really see a lot of disabled people, at least. Although do you know if is there something?
First of all, I think we call them differently abled.
Differently able.
Yes.
Let me check myself. Is there something holding them back, or are there just too few of them?
What happens is at a when it is like a service delivery function or a managed services, you work for a client. So many a times at a client locations you don't prefer because of the travel and other reasons. And even if you hire a differently abled person, there has to be circumstances and environment friendly towards it, right? So now when we shifted our office, we looked into like whether we can hire differently abled in future. All those facilities we have seen, but earlier we organization never used to see that. But nowadays those features are there. So there is no problem of hiring, and it has to be in merit. That's why it is not in numbers you will find, because it is on merits. There is one more diversity in terms of neurodiversity. Neurodiversity, we have not even explored it.
What is neurodiversity?
Neurodiversity in terms of there is in terms of there are different kinds in various there are different types of neurodiversity basically.
Example?
Dyslexia.
Dyslexic
Dyslexia.
Okay.
Dyslexia.
Okay, people who suffer from, okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
people who are suffering from a condition which is not allowing them to
Yes.
perform, but if you give them
Like
the
you've seen
conditions,
Tarizameen for, right?
Right.
That
So
way.
dyslexia,
But they're very
dyslexia.
smart, they're very creative, they're very innovative. In some of the functions you can hire, but they are not.
Asperger's,
Yes.
dyslexia, stuff like that for them to hire. Yeah, okay, got it. Interesting.
But then if you see there are some differently able people, for instance, which itself is a challenge for them to fit in the workplace. For instance, people who are blind or people who are deaf. And I know for a fact that there's this restaurant in Mumbai called Mirchi and Mine.
Yes.
They hire
Yes.
people only who are deaf.
Deaf and
You
dumb.
need to give them
Yes.
show actions, right? And KFC, I think in Hyderabad, I once saw people who were deaf and dumb were serving the orders. And when I went and spoke to them, they were like, so, in places like that, you can hire people, but for someone who's blind, right? I mean, but you have the whole world shut out, right? I what's your take? You can only go so far, because finding the right opportunities, it also becomes a problem
Yeah.
after some time.
Yes, it also depends on industry to industry. Now, in an IT industry where you have technical stuff to be done and the environment is not friendly, so accordingly you hire. That's why we had internally a person in finance, right, a deaf. Yeah, we had a person, but that was again on merit. Like we could have hired 10, but we hired one because it was on merit. It's not that a person is differently able, we need to hire forcefully. No, we do it on merit, whether it is gender, whether it is differently abled. It's on purely on merit basis.
In case you're all wondering why she looked at me as if I would know the answer to that question, let me break a suspense. I invited Chitra here because we used to work together in a company before the company I'm currently working in. And I've known her since then. And she was one of those HR ladies who used to have a sense of humor. She's lost it now. Used to have a sense of humor, but she was very cordial with everyone. And I don't remember her being boy, girl, gender, equity. It was always merit, but with a so here's what we started, where she started, I supported, where we worked on the Academy of
Yeah,
Women Empowerment.
yes, yes.
That was an idea which I felt was very genuinely diversity, equity, inclusion, because what we did was women who had taken a career break because they had decided to become mothers, they were not in the system for some time, 2 years off. We created a specific program where our own company people would create a curriculum for them. They would go through that curriculum, and basis their performance in the curriculum, they would be hired into those teams. And that was something that we empowered, and I think it's doing pretty well
Yes,
even now. And
yes.
you got a lot of credit
Yes.
for that. You Japan gayi thi beech mein, I think, for that.
Japan, that is along with the sustainability
So there's some
program.
benefits
Yes.
to being
Yes.
diverse, right? You get a lot of perks in it. So, but it's a fantastic
But again,
idea,
it's
right?
it was a business
Made
impact.
business
Yes.
sense because those people directly joined, and those mothers joined teams and contributed to the company. And that was one program that I would like to replicate in my place of work as well. Copyright and all baaj mein rakhe, but those are the kind of diversity ideas which I think
Yes.
work.
Yes. Yes.
Most of the stuff we see, it annoys us, like the LGBTQ stuff, and we must hire in this particular
Forcefully.
color,
Yes.
this
Yes.
particular race, this particular sexual orientation. You must hire one of this, one of that. I feel that is forced. And it doesn't make sense. So if a particular sexual orientation is feeling left out, if you are being excluded from a job because of your orientation, that is 100% wrong, and I agree. But if we are supposed to hire you just because you have an orientation,
Then
that is
that's
equally wrong,
yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
And how do you as an HR, if someone tells you that there is a rule now that we have to have X percentage diversity and hire these, how do you push back against that?
So even in my current organization, we have a percentage, and not that for that achieve that percentage we'll do anything and everything, right? You spoke about Academy for Women Empowerment. We spoke together in terms of how we launched it. No, launching time you were not there,
Launching
but
time
then
I was there.
you were there. So, and I know you were in one of the work stream of
Yes.
finance. Yes, right. So Academy for Women Empowerment, Mario, this is, as Krishna mentioned, it's a career returnship program. It's not only for mothers. It's woman has to take a break in any point in her career, whether it is like maternity, health, parents, or pursuing further education. It can be any reason. So we wanted to give them a chance that they can come back to the industry. It's not easy, as you mentioned, and especially in a technical firm, it is easy to go to a support functions where it is easily hired, right? But technical, who has technical qualification and coming back to the tech, because technical world keeps on changing. You need to be abreast with the latest technical know-how and other things, right? So when we started that, we said we should have a business outcome to it. There has to be a business impact, not only because, as you were mentioning, right, diversity, let's hire. No, it was not so. So we presented a business deal. Like in a technical field, we had cloud and security, which is a niche, which was difficult. Even we did not had so much of men. It's a niche technology. So we said we will hire a woman from this background, who has earlier worked in IT companies, not freshers, but has some experience. We will train them 3 months of training in cloud and security, two mainstreams, and then we will put across them to business roles.
Okay.
And it's a rigorous program. Right?
Yes.
The training is not like, oh, is this for women? Let's be nice. No, it's a proper
Yes.
hardcore training program, and they have to put in the time. They have to. There's a test, I think.
Assessment. There
is
is
an
assessment. There
that
is a
comes at the end.
assessment criteria.
It's a
Correct.
proper program, and it works. Like the women don't want it easy either. They want to have earned their
Yes.
right on the table, and they earn the seat, come into, and I believe they're performing pretty well.
Very well. Very well.
So this is corrected, Miss injustice of the past also.
So
It
this,
comes
according to
under
me,
this.
is the right window that you give, right?
Yes.
If someone has taken a break and they've now gone to the back of the line, here's a window to get you back up and get you back into the limelight.
So how
A simple way.
is it from somebody who, for instance, there are countries like, for instance, in Canada, right? If you're working in a company and you have to, and if you're, if you have a kid, you have to get maternity leave. They give you 1 year's maternity leave paid.
I think that's
and you
too
come
much.
back.
I think that's too much.
And you
This
come
may sound
back into the
controversial.
same role, and nobody will blink. Oh yeah, she's doing this now. Now she's moving into this. So it's 1 year, and I don't know in India how long.
6 months.
6
India is
right?
6 months now.
So 6 months and 1 year. Do you think it's
6 months is
somewhere
the right
between
amount
six-
of time. I mean, I'm not a woman. I shouldn't have an opinion. I can't comment on this, but opinion-wise, 6 months is right.
See, every woman has different challenges and different circumstances,
You
right?
can do that.
So,
if you had an issue
during
and
my time, it was 3 months. I came back within 3 months, right?
Seriously?
Seriously, yes. It was 3 months earlier. Now it is 6 months.
1 year, isn't it?
1 year is long, but people, as I mentioned to you, everybody has different challenges. So we can't neutralize it. So it has to be.
Case to case basis, we can look at it. Someone needs 1 year, we're not going
It
to fire
is.
you, obviously, but we'll give you 6 months. off.
Definitely.
Maybe 50% pay instead of 100% pay.
Definitely, that depends on company policies,
Right,
whether
six
you are
months,
taking a
100%
sabbatical,
pay.
whether you are
Yeah.
extending your leaves, whether you're utilizing the leaves. So that depends.
On a case-to-case basis becomes dangerous, right? I mean, then,
Yes,
then it
yes.
becomes...
Everything is an
Yeah,
exception then.
Exception,
Yeah.
right? And because of things like this, you have... And so I'm just going to go off. After this, and we're going on the women's empowerment track. Very soon, there's been this new movement. You heard about it, MGOTW. Men going their own way. Okay, men going there. You Google it, right? And the fact, and now you have Men's Day. I mean, why do I need to celebrate Men's Day? I mean,
What's wrong with Men's
no,
Day?
hold on. For a large part of my life, I was okay not being called out. All of a sudden, the other day, I'm like, hey, it's Men's Day. I'm like, since when? Why? What am I celebrating? It is the norm, but then now women have their day, so men feel that they have their day. So where I'm going is, in the idea to correct a certain injustice, another bunch of people have become insecure. And so now whatever they want, we want to, because they're getting special preference, so why shouldn't we?
I can give you an example in this. Batch 1, which we hired, Academy, right? We hired 25, out of which 24 we could absorb, 1 couldn't continue. So that was the story. So when this woman came onboarded, right? It was still like end of COVID or COVID time. So we gave people were still working from home. So that got habituated. So, and we were not giving shifts to the women. So men got similarly, same thing, what you mentioned, men got insecure and they started raising this to the manager. It's like, why I have to work, do 24/7, I have to come night shift because there is women in the team and that's why I have to do like twice a month, otherwise it will come once a month. So
That's fair,
that,
no?
yeah.
Is that fair or unfair? I think it's a fair ask.
It's a fair ask, and that's why we said all this women also, because during the hiring we had mentioned it's a 24/7. We had given this leeway because of so and so circumstances. We will regularize now. So in some of the circumstances, in some of the situations where still work from home is there is work from home. But in some cases we have started calling women as well. So that's even when this woman came and spoke to me, I said, fair, because you have chosen this industry, security.
How difficult is it to have that conversation?
No, I had this conversation with many of the women. For example, I remember Mumbai, Bangalore conversation also what I had when this came up. I said, this field is chosen by you, right? Cloud and security. Which IT company does a security downtime during the daytime? It's always during the night time. So it has to be 24/7, and this was taken the commitment. So you have to fulfill that. You can't say now that we can't do it. So women understand that because the field this fields are chosen by them. We didn't enforce them. You come and join IT industry. You come and join the security domain.
This is why you are one of my favorite people. Because see, if I were in your position and if I had said that, I don't think it would have been treated fairly. But even if you are a woman, you still are looking at it. Look, business comes first.
Yes.
Right? How can we as men have that conversation with women that, look, we respect you, we want you in the workforce, but you have to understand business comes first.
Yes.
Right? how safe is it for men in today's environment to have those kind of difficult conversations with women? And what should we be mindful of?
No, so I'll follow that up. Is it even fair to expect a man to have this? I'm thinking such
We
conversations.
will be
should ideally
managers
be
of
women
women
to
someday.
men.
We will be managers of women someday. Otherwise, we'll never hire women in our team. Right? We will be managers of women someday.
Yeah.
What would you suggest is the right way for us to have these difficult conversations with women?
Say, you need to understand the situation. You need to definitely empathize and speak neutrally in terms of what the business is required, what we have mentioned. It will be a different ask if we have committed that never we have told that you're not supposed to do, and now we are asking. That will be the wrong ask. But during the hiring, we're being very transparent that you have to do 24/7 whenever it is asked for. And if it is rotating or something, it depends on the project to project. So that was clearly stated. So definitely in this scenario also, there were some difficult conversations which happened. Some of the managers does not know how to handle the situation, but some managers can manage in terms of, and then there my role comes in, like in terms of where there is a problem, I went and spoke to specific of those.
Once a problem happens, you need to step in and kind of solve the problem.
Yeah.
How easy is it for the team to continue after you step back? Because you kind of stepped in to solve, but now they have to kind of solve it themselves also at some point, right? It gets awkward at that point.
Today morning also one of the manager called me, a specific case that so and so is the discussion. I'm sure that definitely that lady will come to you. So this is what I have explained. Let's maintain the same stand.
Okay.
And that stand is like towards the business, because we have considered the problem what was there in the past. Now it has to be like what business is required. So we need to manage those situations.
I think it makes sense. Now we've had such a long discussion about this. In my mind, because so much communication has to be done to make sure there is this level of diversity in an organization, most managers feel like, yeah, just hire men and get it over with. We don't have time to do this.
True.
Right? Now that problem, I think we are approaching the problem too late. Corporate time, we've somehow found a way with Academy of Women Empowerment, and kudos to you and the entire team. But most corporates, I think they're approaching the problem too late. What would you suggest should be done at a college or an engineering level?
Yeah. So today, when we look in terms of this technologies, why are we calling it niche? Because there is a demand, but supply is not there.
Yes.
Right? So we need to start in the, as you rightly mentioned, in the college and school. You know about our school, girls' school,
They don't.
Yeah. So Mario, we have, as a sustainability, we said we need to have one storyline. So what we did is, being an IT company, we said we should do something to right to learn. And India being in India and knowing the girl child education, still it's a problem when you go to remote areas and other places. Urban, there is no problem, but in remote, still in rural areas, still it's a problem. So we have adopted a girls' school in Mumbai, and our project name is like Empowering Girl Children Through Right to Learn Mission. So here it's not that we give their fees or something like that, because it's a government aided school, but we provide a holistic development of the girl child. So we develop the infrastructure, like we constructed the computer lab, science lab, library, safe drinking water outlets, midday meals, many such programs, career counseling, everything. Nice. Holistic development like physical, mental, financial, career counseling, career guidance, self-defense courses, because these girls come from a such disadvantaged section of society that they need to be tackling these issues, right? So self-defense courses. Every year, as Krishna rightly mentioned, menstrual hygiene session, because we did a dental session, so health related, everything. So we do that. So one of the project, Krishna, what we did recently is, one is education scholarship and second is STEM. STEM is like on the science, technology, engineering and math, because it's a Hindi medium, vernacular medium school. Generally the tendency is like arts or commerce, it is arts more often. Vernacular medium, it's like, where do you want to go? Arts. Commerce, some will go to commerce, but science, nobody thinks of it. So last 3 years, we have been trying to develop this as our global mechanism is also there, and we thought we should start early and develop an interest for them, like science, technology, engineering, mathematics. It's not required that only a boy child has to go for. Girls can also attempt, and these are the futuristic career which is there. And it is not only girls, but we invite the parents and also do a counseling session. So this time we are very happy. We've seen that people are like opting science, engineering. Many children have opted that.
So just as offshoot on that, vernacular medium prefers commerce and arts.
Yes.
Rural science. Where has this mindset come from? Is it something which is prevalent in the rural, rural India, that we feel we have to be arts because it's more tied with the roots of our culture and what we are, and science is more city-ish? Where do you think this?
They think arts is a simple to do, science is very difficult.
Okay.
Science is difficult. One is that, and second is financial.
Yeah, engineering
Finance.
colleges are more expensive.
Expensive, right? Yeah. Science, you need to like have lot of
But then
financial
they probably
background.
should know. I mean, if they're looking in terms of return on investment money, it's obviously
No, I'll again differ with you.
Yes.
If you go to an engineering college today, there is no guarantee that you're going to get a very much higher placement than a commerce student or an art student. It's leveled out now. You need to go for a master's. You need to get a doctor's.
now
Now,
today.
now, yeah.
But 5-10 years ago, it was still a mindset.
She's talking about a school, right?
Oh,
So,
school. Okay.
School, yeah.
Okay.
It's about a mindset. One is it's easy to do. I mean, like for example,
History, social.
I remember when I got married, my mother-in-law used to say, why don't you to take up any bank job? They think 9 to 5 is only a bank job. It is not actually. But when I used to come late or something like that,
But you
and
said
working.
something. You said something very interesting.
Yeah.
Your mother-in-law said that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, isn't this also part of the problem that a lot of women themselves
Yes.
feel that women shouldn't go into these particular fields?
Yes.
Now, there, what can men do?
In fact, my mother-in-law used to work. She was a teacher in a school, and still because she saw me like struggling or coming late or in terms of taking stress or something like
Mother-in-law
that.
नहीं देखेगी क्या ये? Auntie, देखो क्या बोल रही है? No, but how do you deal with that? So even and you are married. You got married in
17.
2007. It's still
Sorry,
relative.
2007.
वही मैं सोच रहा था कुछ ज़्यादा ही नहीं
2007.
2007
Yeah.
was still an okayish time in India, but even there, when your mother-in-law is telling you something, you can't really say no, right? You did fight back and say no. This is something I need
No,
to
no.
do.
My mother-in-law is a very cool person. I mean,
अभी बोल.
नहीं, seriously.
हाँ,
It
we
is
believe
just
you, we
because
believe you.
एक तो recession time था. That was bad time as well. Changing jobs and financial sector getting hampered. Those looking at the stress and other things, she was forced to say that, and it was just a comment. No force, nothing as such. I continued what I wanted to.
With what you wanted to do. The reason why one of the many reasons I invited you here today is at no point have I ever thought you were the traditional HR executive. Because you just mentioned Academy of Women Empowerment, we were change ambassadors together, you did the girl child school. You are doing all this on top of your regular job in the same company, right? This is an initiative you're taking in your company while you're earning a paycheck and doing your regular day-to-day jobs. What does your day-to-day job look like?
Okay, when the sustainability school adoption was there, as Krishna rightly mentioned, I was into talent acquisition, moved to an HRBP role. This was like over and above, like handling the HRBP role. It was over and above. I didn't had any dedicated team or anything as such.
Yeah, you were doing it alone. I remember.
Yes.
Yep.
At that moment, yes, it was alone, but I had like some of the along with the help of CEO and other functions, people came together and we did together as a team, but it was like a commitment to do something as a part of organization to the community, more towards in terms of it interested so much that I still remember I personally, along with various team members, not that I visited alone, I had visited 22 schools, Krishna, at that moment before adopting the school, because we wanted something very in terms of not just doing a tick mark, but really which is like
22 schools
needful.
in what time frame?
22 schools, we
6 months, 3
almost
months?
took 5 to 6 months. Yes, we almost took 5 to 6 months. Yes.
Okay.
So this on the same lines, a lot of corporates have started doing this over the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Adopting schools
Yeah.
in Bangalore and Hyderabad, even in Mumbai. Is there any metrics or data to show that this is actually making a change at the hiring level, ground level? Because what I'm hearing out there is still, there's this huge supply-demand mismatch between what the job market wants and how many engineers we produce. And no matter how many courses, we are hearing the same. Oh, there's India's now. We've got a nightmare. More people are joining the force than there are jobs available, and still there's lacunae. I mean, so clearly there's
Demand and supply.
Right, demand, supply, mismatch.
Yeah.
And there are companies going into schools and adopting them, and we're not seeing any change. Is it like it takes time for this whole system to change, or the mindset, before we actually see progress filter down to the college and the corporates?
Definitely, it takes time. Now, the school which I am talking about, we are working since last 8 years.
Okay.
Last 8 years, and even before we adopted a school, and any project we do in anywhere, be it Academy for Women Empowerment or any project we undertake in the school or internally, we have our design principles, like where all it has an impact and what is the outcome. So we have those principles.
How do the design and principles work?
Yeah, so design principle in the sense, any project we undertake, where is the impact?
Okay.
Like for example, we don't want to have high overheads cost.
Yes.
It has to be low. Operating
Right.
cost has to be low.
Right.
It has to be sustainable.
Yes.
Otherwise,
How will it be sustainable?
if we keep our overheads low and think about the phase wise, not that at a short way, as I mentioned to you, whatever I mentioned, having a computer lab, science lab, library, this happened in last like 6, 7, 8, today we are at 8th year now. It is in phase wise we did, not that we did in a one go. Right? Because we need to maintain our expenditure also, not that shoot our business expenditure also and do everything at one shot. It has to be sustainable, and when what is required as per the requirement of the school and children, we do accordingly. So that is there. And other than that, where the impact is, like in terms of the school, it is like their health, physical, mental, and other wellness. So that is the outcome. When we talk about Academy for Women Empowerment, again, I mentioned to you, I've done 4 batches till now. That when you were there, we were working on the first batch, right? Yeah. So this year we have rolled out 4th batch. I'll be starting soon with the 5th
Soon
batch.
Soon the org will have more women than men, no? As such,
no, the numbers are not too high. As I mentioned, it is basis what the requirement is, okay. Right? It is not that bas le lo that way.
Okay, so just still on the school thing, I just have one more question. So you mentioned outcome being the person should have mental health. What?
Okay, outcome when I meant here is like we measure the outcome, like the time we adopted the school, what is the outcome in terms of what is the passing rate, how many computer hours, since we have had the computer lab, how many computer hours is been clocked, how many meals till date we have served, and after we've been partnering with the school, what is the dropout ratio, because earlier the dropout ratio is very high, so the dropout ratio has moved down. Okay. And as I mentioned to you, last couple of years we have seen like students going to the science and other fields as well, rather than just going and opting for arts. So those outcomes is what we measure. And one of the major impact is, I don't know Krishna if you know, when we in 2017 when we adopted the school, the children were in like the children in 10th standard SSC board, right? After 5 years, we hired a girl from that school.
I know about this.
You know about this, yeah. So once her graduation is completed, we have hired in one of our roles and still with our company.
Okay, so one of the outcomes probably is, do these students go on to higher education, right? Do they get into college, or do they get gainful employment once they're out? I'm guessing, so if I look at it from a business perspective, I've plugged in so much of money, they should either be employed or they should be going for higher education. This should be one. I'm guessing if I look at it from a ROI, this is the ROI I want. Right?
Yeah, so we know where we have put the efforts. Okay. Like this is along with our not only funds but our time, efforts, and our people has worked. So one of the main imperative of this is like we are not just cutting a check and giving to any NGO. We ourselves are working on each of these projects. It is our people, our employees from various work streams, as I mentioned.
I'll tell you a story about this. We had one senior executive who was on his way to move to Singapore from Mumbai. He got promoted, is about to move to Singapore. He specifically came one day to office just because he wanted to go and visit the school one last time before he left. That's the level, and this is a senior executive. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
he specifically came, asked people to come because I want to go
Yes.
visit the school one last time before I go back to Singapore.
Yeah.
So the management was very invested in this, and I think that's what I wanted to ask her. Ki, we've had management coming in and out in orgs, and it will happen in every org, right? Commitment to an initiative like this. You said 8 years now.
Yes.
How do you get people invested to make that commitment continue for 8 years? And at some point, someone must have asked, what's the point? Are we getting returns? And you have to instill patience. It's just started. You have to give us time. How do you have that conversation?
So I had many of employees coming to me and saying, why only girl child? Even boy child will be suffering, right? Why only girl child? Yeah, yeah. So I had many of them coming like, why always like girl child education? Why can't we have equality, right? Like we talk in the corporate world. So my answer to that was, yes, that's right, wherever possible, because the school which we have adopted, morning it's a girls' school and second half is a boys' school. Infrastructure wise, we have not denied that boys can't use it. But our facilities and our meals and other things goes to the girl child because our primary imperative is there. But infrastructure wise, they are also using it. One is that I tell them. And I also mentioned to them that when you go to the rurals and those section of the society, you should hear some of the stories. Like even
Can you
in
share
this
some?
school,
Have you heard
even
some
in this,
stories?
yeah, because during the education scholarship and other, where we asked some girls to come forward and talk. So I remember one of the project we did, which we won last year, the Sustainability Conference Award.
Where she went
which,
to Japan.
so that was a mixed one. That's why I said Academy for Women Empowerment and Saksham. So 7 years we did only for the school and girl child, everything. Everything, so that holistic development, all that storyline. And our motto is like a girl child should not drop out from the education and she should complete her at least the graduation. Basic education has to be completed, if not pursuing higher education and other things for the financial independence, all that which we keep saying. One project what we did is Saksham. Saksham is that for the first time we extended to the mothers of this girl child and elder sisters. Like what we did, we provided them the entrepreneurial skills training. We provided them like some sewing machines, flour mills, so that they can start a small enterprise business in their homes, sitting in home, taking care of the girl child and do small kind of business so that they get some of the financial gains. Our selfish motive is just that they are financially stable so that our girl child continues to go to the school. And we wanted in this section what we have seen that mothers are more prone for the education than the fathers, because when we met we saw that mothers are like, what happened to me should not happen to my girl child. My girl child should continue the education.
Even today?
Yeah, even today. So in that particular program where we did a scholarship and other things, one of the elder sister, when she came, she could not complete her education. Why? Because her father didn't let her to. This I'm talking 2 years back story. This is a story of 2 years back. She literally, when she was talking, she cried, she was shedding tears, and everybody in that auditorium was into tears. Like in today's world also, she's like, I want to do studies. Can you talk to my father? My father mentioned that my brothers are there and I had to drop from the education. I could not complete my education.
I find this so weird because when Kiara was born, my daughter was born, first of all, it was a different emotion. That moment when you become a father, it's a very different emotion, and I encourage everyone to experience that emotion at least once. But the output of that emotion is, there is nothing that I don't want her to have. Like, it's an immediate first reaction that I want to make sure my child has a child, not son, daughter.
Yeah.
I want my child to have everything. It's the most natural response. I can't be the only one who feels that way. It must be true for all fathers. So it's very surprising when I hear these stories.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to challenge your premise there.
Okay, ask her. She
I'm not gonna challenge
she can't
yours
stop
and-
talking about her father. Ask her.
So, no. I think the problem begins with the fact that not for boys, but for girls, she has to get married. The problem starts there. Because if a parent can exercise control over that, he can pretty much do it over all the other phases, including how much she studies, how much she eats, how much, oh, why? Because she's an achiever. The problem, in my opinion, is there. The moment you lift this barrier, everything is there.
I think it's too simplistic. It's not just marriage, not anymore.
So, but if you look at it, right, I mean, 10, 15 years ago, even men were like, oh, you're not married yet. For women, like, oh, it's about time, right? So the way the question was phrased was also completely different. Oh, he's not getting married, whatever, man. But who knows? How is that you are not married? Question. Even today, I have friends, I mean, who say, oh, she's 35 years old, but she's not married. So if a guy is crossed that age, not married, he's enjoying his life.
Mario 65.
He's enjoying his life. So if you look, I mean, forget rural. It's this mentality is still there in the urban area to some extent.
Do you agree, disagree with this? It's a
Some extent,
marriage-related issue.
It's hidden. It's in the framework. We don't even see it, but it's pretty much open. And
See, all this is instilled in the education. If you have education, that mentality goes.
Men are educated, right?
No, not required. Where I'm talking in terms of the father who didn't let her.
Even the father was not educated.
Yeah.
That
So
makes more sense to me. It's a gender-wise education problem,
Yes.
not a girl-child education problem. It's even the men are not educated.
Even the educated, very educated men
Also
the
does,
the
yes.
system prevents-
Yes.
100% agree. There are some cases
Yes.
of some very idiotic men. I'm not going to defend them at all. But I would like to believe, and I'll obviously search for data if this is true. I would like to believe that most human beings on this planet would like their children to be fully educated, whether boy or girl. At least to 2025.
At least 2025.
I would like to believe that whatever emotion I felt when my daughter was born, everyone felt it.
I'd like to believe
There are
what you believe is true.
there are different circumstances, definitely. Like I remember my father, once I completed my graduation, I said I have to do my, okay, so we are three sisters, I'm the eldest one. So my father had that, three daughters, right? Marriage and other things comes into the scenario. So when I said I want to pursue further education, he said, you continue education, I don't have any problem. You complete your education, but don't think that we will not look for a boy. So it will be as per your choice, but we will look for a boy and you study how much ever you want to. So definitely that scenario is there. Like a girl is like 25, 26, marriage is not, it was
There's a reason
earlier
for that.
phenomena.
There's a reason for that,
yes,
right? Biologically, it's difficult to have children after 33. You need to have a lot of doctor visits.
But again, I'll say that is past. In current scenario, I don't think so.
You will have to go
Tell it
to, it's not impossible, but it starts to get more and more difficult. You'll have to go for in vitro injections. You'll have to consider freezing your eggs and all those ridiculous things. And it takes a toll on you mentally.
Krishna, nowadays the generation says, I don't want to get married. That is the generation we're
That's
talking
obviously
about.
there.
There's another generation who, have you heard this phrase, DINK? You must have heard this.
Double income, no
Double
kids.
income, no kids, right?
Ha,
Lots
ha,
of people couples getting married,
Ha.
lot of income, going on holidays, enjoying their life,
Correct,
kids.
correct,
No kids, right?
correct.
So, where did we start with this? Yeah. How did I jump onto this? were talking
You
about
love
something.
this idea, no? So go for it.
No, there's lots of people. You see them all over, right?
Yes,
Both
yes.
are working very well, but they're like, we don't want to have kids because
I know,
it's-
I have it in my family, my cousins. I mean, I don't want kids. We are happily married, but we don't want kids.
I always tell people, I mean, it's your decision. I'm not going to interfere. But if you ask me my opinion, I would always say you should experience parenthood once. It's a different feeling, man. The first time you hold your child,
Wait, 1.4 billion people, we need 1.4 billion and 80 million.
the birth rate in India is contracting. Japan is almost getting extinct. In Korea, 1 out of 4 people will never be a grandparent. The birth rate in the world is contracting.
You're forgetting the fact that we're living in the age of AI. A lot of jobs are going to be done by machines. You do not need so many people in the workforce as yes.
Because there are no jobs, let's not bring
so
more
yeah,
people.
And that is the reason we said start investing early so that you can retire in 40. Simple.
Nice end to this because this was going nowhere.
We start debating
Okay,
again.
I have another point. Now, coming back to this whole diversity thing, right? I've heard people say organizations which are diverse, which means across the spectrum, you take disabled, LGBT, women, and a nice healthy balance, are organizations which are more successful than organizations which are not diverse. And now I hear a lot of this. And I'm like, we've had so many organizations the last 80 years which have been very successful without the concept of diversity. So what is this new assumption we are making? And moreover, where's the data? How are you measuring success? And although I'm on the side of diversity, I just feel that we don't have enough data to show this yet. And even if we are, I mean, what are we trying to prove?
So the research has proven that the more the diverse the organization, the output is more and the organization is more successful. The research have proven that. And that's why, like for example, you have all men in the team, right? In terms of there has to be a different thought process altogether. Nowadays it is not only about gender, right? Gone are the days where we talk about only men and women. There are diverse that's why I mentioned in terms of whether it is differently abled, whether it is neurodiversity, in terms of generation. There's a generation.
Yeah.
Like for example, in my team, Krishna, because we need different concepts for diversity, sustainability, innovative thoughts. And employees want newer and newer different means and ways to engage. Old traditional ways and means will not work. So I have hired freshers basically for the new thoughts, so that we can look at it as a fresh outlook. So that diverse matters. You need an experience. In my team, it's a very generational. We have each generation of a team which is there.
This is a very
So
good
that
point
helps.
you made, right? Diverse perspectives. And when you have an all-male team, like a hockey team or a basketball team, there's only one track way of viewing it. And even if you add even if you add women and men, it's still, well, you get a second opinion, but you need diverse opinions.
Diverse
right?
opinions.
So how much of this is profiteering, right? I mean, you're getting diverse opinions, which means you understand the market a lot better, what
Yes.
your actual customers want, right? For instance, LGBT group, they're like a certain way to dress, right? People who are differently able, their needs need to be met too. So I'm guessing a lot of it is also based on, has a slight commercial angle to it also. Would you say that?
Everything is commercialized any which ways. That's a different topic altogether. But in an organization, the diverse workforce helps. Yes, that's a strong advocate, which I would.
Do you see progress being made in India? Because, a few years ago, I used to run in these marathons and the equity, and then, and the only place I've heard equity was in the stock market, and all of a sudden people are saying embrace equity. And then why are we saying equity? Oh, because equity means, why don't we just say DEI? It's easier to understand diversity, equity and inclusion. But then, you had this whole word come in called equity. Well, I thought diversity and inclusion captured everything, but then you had equity in between. So the way the whole thing was brought in was great. And you see a lot of corporates talking about it. But in your perspective, is the ground reality representative of something change actually happening, or are we still getting there?
See, when you say equity and equality are two different terms, right? Equity is like every person's needs are different. And the organization and the environment has to support accordingly. It is not that everybody is given equal thing and the people can succeed. So depending on the needs of the people, you have to support somebody so much and somebody this. So that has to be maintained, that has to be balanced. So that's where the equity comes in.
My problem with the whole equity angle is I don't think, in fact, you said it correctly, equity is at a individual level.
Yes.
When you put equity on a group, that we will try to be equity for this particular race, we will show equity for this particular sexual orientation, then it will fail. Because you are now assuming that everyone within that race has the same requirements.
Correct.
Everyone within that same sexual orientation needs the same requirements, and it will fall flat because you will try to accommodate everyone into this small little hole.
Yes.
For me, equity is perfect post-hire. Once somebody has come into the org, we take the time to understand who they are as an individual, and the managers and the teams find out, okay, this person needs this much support, this person needs that much support. How do we groom them and how do we make? So on that note, maybe one of the final topics for today is hiring. How do you make a decision on an employee And has it ever happened that once you made a bad decision on an employee, you very quickly taken an action that, okay, this is a bad decision, we need to take an action and either terminate or put this person in a different team, we made a bad hiring decision?
See, we have done a hiring and we have done the evaluation, right? So if it's a bad hire, definitely you need to support, you need to understand the need identification, what is required for a person to succeed. You will help a person to succeed rather than not fail, right? Other than that, it's a traits, whether a person want to work, not want to work. You look at the efforts and other things as well. It is not always the outcome which matters. You have to also look at the what efforts have been put.
If someone tells you, Chitra, I've made a wrong decision. Last week we hired this guy. He's not the correct fit.
You can't conclude within a week or so. Within 15 days, you can't conclude that a person is bad.
I agree.
There might be one or two scenarios, but you need to give time. So definitely that time, that support has to be required for a person to get into that pace.
My manager said 18 months. I always felt that was
18
too much.
months is too much. Because 18 months
How long
is
will you
too
vote? 6? 10?
3.
See, it depends on profile to profile.
Probation
3
period.
months, 6
Probation
months.
period.
Yeah, probation period is 3 months to 6 months.
So to take off from that, right? And I've seen this happen also. People have called me up. We hired this person, but what we just discovered that what's written in the CV and what he's supposed to do, there's a gap. The guy is clueless. Mario, the guy is clueless.
Someone lied on their resume, it's an easy
Yeah,
answer.
It's an easy.
But the thing is, these days people use generative AI to generate. Put a
That's
spin.
easy. That's easy. That's not the problem.
Especially in the technical, technical.
Yeah,
And that's
what
what.
was, no one has lied. It's just that once you've hired,
So
you realize, this guy is not
lying. This is just inflating it. So
Get point.
in the tech field, you can use a lot of jargon, and you can say that I didn't really say that. I meant this. So there's ways you can twist it, right? So it'll become difficult for someone to throw you out because hey,
Has that happened?
You never asked me all this. Now you expect me to do all this. People play in the.
Earlier, it was a lot of, specifically in technical interviews is what I know. Like there is a telephonic interview which happens, right? And then it's a HR round and one face-to-face round. Face-to-face is never a technical. So in technical round where it has happened, what you mentioned, right? A person is like technically like, wow, excellent. And when he comes, he doesn't know the basic things as well. Then you come to know that something has gone wrong. So that's where nowadays the technologies is that we insist for face-to-face or a video interview. So that helps over here.
What are some, so for anyone watching who's a new, maybe an MBA or someone just about to enter corporate life, what are some rules of corporate etiquette you would like people to know? These are some things you should be, these are some, you've seen bad etiquette. Let's start with that. Maybe give an example of a bad etiquette you've seen and then say that don't avoid this, be like this. This is better.
Be transparent enough. Some people,
I'm sorry, but the moment you said transparent, isn't it dangerous? Because in a corporate world, you're still competing with other people. You still want to get a promotion over your teammate. How transparent can you really be? You are competing. You do want to have that advantage.
This is with respect to the day-to-day work and trades and not lying as mentioned, right? It is not lying or something like that. So you have to be accountable for the work which has been given. And not you can give 1 or 2 excuses, but not always. And that behavioral norms has been identified, that behavioral traits has been picked. So that particular, you have to be accountable. So when I meant transparent, it in that means that you are not giving any false notations or anything that I have not done this because of so and so reason, and you think the organization or the manager will empathize you. How many situations a manager and organization can empathize? So when that storyline builds up, you have been caught.
That's a pretty fair answer.
Yeah.
So I meant transparent in that particular.
So what about transparency in terms of values as well? That's important, right? People should know what you stand for. This is a person who won't cheat. This is a person who will get an honest answer for, who would speak the truth to power and all these, right? So transparency in values, is that equally important? Because a lot of people sometimes, they don't really stress on this. For a lot of people, values is also have things they display now and then, but it's more of their core skills they like to show. The value side, people really need to look up. But then the people who, when you look at them, their values really shine, right?
So every organization has an employee value proposition, and there are particular traits which is to be monitored. So we have vision, mission, values. So that values talk about like what the culture of the company is. We had an initiative internally what we had driven in terms of the behavioral traits, which included like going over and above what you are supposed to be. Like you have a set of KPIs, but if somebody is going over and above that behavioral traits, then you are like really doing for the company, doing for the function and the organization. So that includes like be transparent, accountable. So depending on the like what value or culture the organization holds, you define some of the behavioral traits.
What are some skills people should be definitely adding to their resume in 2025?
Definitely, in terms of it has to be data oriented.
Okay.
Less of content and more of data.
That's a fantastic note to end this. More data, less content. Ladies and gentlemen, I left the best for last. Mrs. Spectacular Eyes, Mrs. India official, Mrs. India Spectacular Eyes. That's your designation. Chitra, I think you can follow her on Instagram. I will share her post. And thank you so much for being here. It was wonderful to see you again.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed your first podcast experience.
Thank you. Thanks.
All of you,
Thank you.
I will see you at the next shoot.
See you at the
Thank
next
you.
shoot. Thank you.